So today we would be starting up with F5 DNS product. Okay. So the former name of F5 DNS was GTM, Global Traffic Manager. But the new name is F5 DNS. So those who are already working on F5, well and good. Those who are not working on F5 and not aware like what is the F5, what technology is this, for them, F5 is nothing but F5 is bit like you can say F5 is a vendor. Company name is F5 Networks and it is a vendor. Bit like if you have heard about Cisco, if you have heard about Palo, Microsoft, and Checkpoint, and many names goes on. Similarly, we have one company named as F5. F5 has multiple of the products, but one of the product is F5 DNS, about which we will gonna discuss about today. But if you have heard about the products, there are like lots of product, but people used to know or aware about LTM, local traffic manager. This is also named as ADC, application delivery controller. Okay, because it does more than the load balancing. It is a full proxy device. Let me write down over here. It is a full proxy device, okay, which acts the full proxy in between the user and the application server. It creates a very secure layer again, okay. It can do the offloading of the certificates, maybe you can say certificate offloading. It can do a lot of things, including iRules, okay, and load balancing, monitoring, and it does a lot of other things apart from it. So LTM was the one of the, you can say, base module when we learn about F5. Then we come to the GTM. GTM is the former name, as I was telling you earlier. The new name is DNS. So it was named as Global Traffic Manager. Why it was named as Global Traffic Manager, probably I could be able to understand you soon in today's class when I would be telling you the difference between GSLB and SLB. So this is your LTM. Then we are coming to the GTM. And in GTM, if I will write down what it does is, it resolves the DNS queries. So it is only for the DNS. It resolves the DNS query with the IP address that everybody knows the basic functionality of DNS, but it sends the query associated with the best or maybe the closest data center. What does that mean? Probably I will tell you. Second thing, it provides security also. We will be going to talk about these features, but later on. Then what else? We have different more products like ASM. Again, Application Security Manager was the previous name. The new name is Advanced WAF. And this product is again a robust product when it comes to protect your mission critical application or the layer data 7 to defend from maybe different malicious attacks, which your conventional firewall cannot able to detect. Okay. Then there are more products like APM, Application Policy Manager, which provides maybe you can say secure and the context aware policy based access control. It again centralize and simplify your AAA management. What is AAA? I hope everybody is aware. If no, AAA is your authentication, authorization, and accounting. Not related to the F5, but a general perspective, I would say. Okay, so F5 has a greater footprint, I would say, in different way into the market, and it is acting as a market leader. And that is the reason why we are here and learning one of the product of the F5. And today we will completely focus on F5 GTM, not on other technologies. Probably I will give you some of the examples while relating to the SLB and GSLB. I will little bit explain about the load balancer or the LTM part of F5. But yeah, it is a DNS where we need to work. So if I will ask, what is DNS? Can anybody let me know what is DNS, please? Be interactive, guys. It's not an interview session. It's nothing. It's a simply interactive class. So it would be better if you can just, quickly speak up. Anybody, what is DNS? No? Sure. Let me explain. Yeah, somebody wanted to say something. Domain name server Rahul. Thank you, Rahul. Okay.
It's a system that resolves domain name into IP address or vice versa.
Correct. Very simple. So every one of us is aware that what is DNS. It is bit like the phone book of internet, or I can say it is a distributed database, okay, which store or which translate the IP in the host name or the host name into the IP address, vice versa, right? Addition to that, what it does, it can allow multiple IP address with a single host name to do the load balancing. How it comes into the picture, probably you will come to know later on when I will explain about it. But in earlier cases, there was some kind of host files where we used to store every name there. But with the rapid growth of internet, the scalability was the issue. And the file was not secure. The file has the redundant, maybe you can say, entries, which was causing the problem. And sooner or later, there was a requirement to have some solution which DNS is providing now. So what is the basic functionality of DNS? If I will say how DNS works, so I hope you should be aware. If no, let me just create a quickly picture and let me explain everybody. So there are few steps, maybe 8 or 10 steps, how your DNS works, right? So what happened is when there is a client going for a query, maybe this client wanted to interact with abc.com. Everybody of us are aware that in case of maybe digital world, there is binary which works, right? It is a binary language of 1 and 0. So this host name has no place. One should be aware about the IP address. And for the IP address, this host will go where? To one of the DNS named as LDNS, which stands for local DNS. Every device has its own DNS, local DNS. Okay, so it may be the browser based, it may be the if you're using Microsoft, your Microsoft based, if you're using something else, probably that OS based, you can say DNS is there. If that is not able to capable enough to provide you the answer, okay, let us say you are going to www.abc.com. There is a hidden dot in the behind, and this dot is nothing. Probably I would be coming to that dot, what these dots are, but later on, not now. So your resolution will take place from this direction, right to left. So it is right, it is left. So it would be take place from right to left. The very first way where your local DNS send this traffic is to the root server. You can say dot, or maybe you can say root server. Root server will send the reply that, okay, buddy, it is associated with the .com zone, go to the .com. So the next part would be the .com server. .com will say that, okay, I recognize it. It should be associated with something named as ABC. You go there and interact with the abc.com. So in turn, it will go to one of another name server. We can say it as name server. Okay, and it will ask for the same query. And this time let us say this query got resolved. So this is your first. This is your second. This is your third query. This is your fourth query. This is your fifth query. This is your sixth. This is your seventh. Where answer is found. Let us say this answer is 1.1.1.1. The same answer will be passed in the 8th step to the client. That okay, buddy, the answer is 1.1.1.1. So these are the major, you can say, steps while we can find out in the DNS recursion. Okay, and not only this, probably later on when I would be going to explain you about the queries, so you can able to understand that there are something named as recursive queries, there are something named as iterative queries which will work. So I didn't come yet like to the DNS F5 DNS part or the GTM, I would say. I'm just explaining about how the DNS works, how the traditional DNS works. Any question in this from anyone, please ask. Very important. Okay, I hope no. Let's proceed further. So I was explaining you about the dot and something like that. Okay, let me now explain. So what happened is, if we talk about the DNS hierarchy, maybe hierarchy. So internet is divided into the groups of the, maybe you can say, administration units, and these units are named as domains. Okay. So domains are such thing, maybe you can say these are the hierarchical structure headed by the root domain. So let us say if you have the root domain, this is your root domain placed over here. Under the root domain, there is again with like reverse order of tree structure, you can say, where root is on above and all the part is lower down. So if you see, there can be .com server, there can be edu server, there can be .net server, there can be org server, and lot of other domains can maybe you can say can be present there. Instead, under the, let us say, .net, okay, there can be some sub level. So levels are typically separated into the subdomains, which is again divided by the period or dot, you can say. So earlier when we were talking about something, let us say now we are talking about there is a person. Let me take my name, radhe.netminion.net. Now you can able to understand from here how it works. So the very first is the dot server, which is the root server, you can say. Next is the net. So this is your net. Under the net, there can be various zones available. Let us say one zone or two zone is for the NetMinion. So you can see there is a NetMinion. Under the NetMinion, there can be Radhe. Okay. There can be George. There can be anyone else. So that is how you are like in typical world, how your DNS resolution works. Any doubt in this from anyone? No? Good. Now let's come to the major point. What is GSLB? Okay, and how it works and how it is useful. Probably we will be going to talk about that, but later on. So first of all, we should be aware that if a client need to interact with any of the application, let us say abc.com, okay, it will, if routing is not an issue or the connectivity is not an issue, it will go to that data center where this application is residing in. Probably there would be a firewall, okay, or maybe there are different more firewalls. This is an maybe Arbor solution for your DOS, DDoS. There can be router, there can be n number of devices, and post that we used to apply a LTM or a load balancer. After the load balancer, there can be one application server or there can be more than one application server. Usually for redundancy, there would be more than one application server, but obvious. And if you have more than one application server, you place LTM in between to check the monitor part, to check various other parts, SSL offloading, as I gave you some of the names. So LTM is in place, and there is one IP named as virtual IP, which come into the picture, and it can be netted over the firewall, maybe. Okay. And on the DNS, this IP will get exposed. And person can interact with this application, either one of the application server, because both of the application servers are hosting the same application. But this is the solution when you have single data set. Okay, you have single data center. What if you have multiple data centers? How it will work? Okay, that is where your GTM will come into the picture. I am taking the old name GTM because otherwise it maybe might confusing while describing about the DNS part. So when I am saying GTM, you please treat it as a F5 DNS only. So this everything is named as server load balancing, SLB, server load balancing. Okay, but now let's talk about the GSLB, global server load balancing. What happened is, let us say you have one DC here. Okay, in this DC, I'm just treating there are two LTMs just for the sake of redundancy in this DC. Okay, this is your DC1. So this is your DC1, where just we are having two load balancers. On these load balancers, there may be some application servers which are hosting an application. We're just talking about one of application, let us say abc.com. Okay, so these are having abc.com. There can be multiple virtual servers. Let us say there is a virtual server 1 and virtual server 2. Because these are in the sync, both of the devices would be having virtual server 1 and virtual server 2. So this part was earlier what I explained within the data center. Now let us say there is one more device we are adding over here, and that is DNS. That is nothing but your F5 GTM. Okay. Similarly, there can be more than one data center. There is another data center here. This is your DC2. In the DC2 also, there are two LTMs. Okay. On these LTMs, let us say there are virtual server 5, virtual server 6, which are hosting the same application again. Okay. And the applications is abc.com. Here also, we have one of the DNS. Major locations, we are placing the DNS on both of the sides. Now, what happened is when client come for abc.com, the request will go where? Anybody? Just try to recall the previous step, what I explained.
Public DNS?
Yes, it will go to the LDNS. From LDNS, root, from root, top level DNS, okay, top level domain maybe. Then eventually it will go to the name server, and the name server has the IP of something named as wide IP, which creates on your DNS. Okay, so there are wide IP, because these two devices would be in the sync in active manner. There would be wide IP of these two DNS F5 GTM unit, which is maybe you can say the listener IP. Okay, wide IP does not have any IP, but the listener IP only. So eventually this request will go where? This request will go to the DNS servers. I am just writing down DNS servers, either 1 or 2, because these DNS server would be in the active manner. Now here comes the part of FIGTM device. FIGTM device have the information for GTM device, have the information about these two LTM and these two LTM. Okay, I am just creating one GTM. You just think that there are two. And these GTMs, as I told you, like the virtual IP, you can just treat for the understanding purpose. Like there is a VIP. Okay, there is something named as. So there is a wide IP created for this particular application abc.com. Now what happened is through the iQuery. Yes, Najib, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, sir. I just want to know, both data center have the same wide IP or a different wide IP?
Different. So maybe you will be able to understand about it later on. Okay, because wide IP is something, the name is the wide IP. Okay, wide IP does not have much configuration rather than the name. But what you wanted to ask is the listener IP. So listener IP would be different. Okay, probably I would be going to complete those things in the classes. Don't worry, because terminology is so vast, you cannot be able to grab it in a very first layer. So don't worry, you will be able to understand. So there is wide IP on both of the GTM, but you just think that there is only one GTM, and this GTM will have all the information of virtual server 1, virtual server 2, virtual server 5, virtual server 6, which in turn is nothing but your abc.com. So these are hosting your abc.com. Okay. So how this information is coming? Again, there is some proprietary protocol named as iQuery. There is some script which we need to run in, okay, on our all of the devices. There are some prerequisites also while running those scripts, but those are later on things. We cannot complete that in today's class. But yeah, through the iQuery, GTM is aware about all of this stuff. And on the depending upon your load balancing mechanism, there are various or lot of decision making capacity is there with the GTM. So if data center 1 is in the APAC region and data center 2, let us say, is in EMEA region, or maybe there can be more region data centers are there. So what happened is user from the EMEA will go to the EMEA only. User for the APAC will go to the APAC. It's not like the traditional maybe DNS, which is just resolving the query. Again, it is checking all of my virtual servers are up or no to provide the maximum uptime to the virtual server. Sorry, to the application, I would say. Okay. So this is really providing an intelligent DNS regulation, and such thing when across the multiple data center, your load balancing is done, it is named as GSLB. So what is GSLB? If I will talk about server load balancing or SLB, that is a technology we can say that distributed the high traffic site among the several application servers using the load balancer, which intercept the traffic and reroute that traffic to the servers as per the traffic load, as per maybe different criteria. And the same thing is load balancing actually, which we able to understand. But here there is one more term come into the picture. People used to say it as anycast routing. Anycast routing. It means whatever the closest is, whatever the source is the closest, the destination should be going there. Like APAC client is going to the APAC server, and maybe EMEA client is going to the EMEA, US region is going to the US data center only. Okay. Is there any doubt to anybody?
Sir, where will be this GTM installed?
GTM will be installed into the data center. So I got your question. Maybe you are just confused. So
Sir,
see,
who
this
will,
is the
sir,
public cloud. Just give me a minute, Najib. This is a public client. Okay, you cannot install the GTM on their proprietary. Okay, if client is going for the abc.com, wherever the abc.com data center is, GTM will be there. Is it fine, Mohammed?
So it will be either DC1 or DC2, right?
It can be on both of the side for the redundancy purpose. They will be in active manner. Everybody knows about everything. So whatever the closest is, they will send the traffic there only. So GSLB is a solution only for DNS queries. Okay, it's not like your FTP, STTP, or TCP thing like your server load balancing can work.
So after GTM, there will be separate LTMs also.
That is what. When I was explaining about them, these are the LTM only.
Yeah, right.
These are the LTM only what I was explaining, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Najib, you go ahead.
yeah, I just want to know who will decide that the query from the client will go to the APAC or the TME server.
Okay. So for the same, as I was explaining you, it is providing the intelligent DNS resolution. And why it is named as intelligent DNS resolution? Because there are so many load balancing mechanisms you would be able to understand in the classes. And on the basis of that source, it will able to recognize that, okay, it is from which region and where it should go.
No, where that is situated, intelligent load balance.
On the GT.
It is the GT.
Yes, on the GT. So it is minimizing your latency a lot. It is providing the security. Okay, not only intelligence resolution, let me tell you. Okay, let me just remove or Control Z. Okay, so very first, it will provide the intelligent resolution. If everything is on your GTM box, everything is on your GTM box. But let us say, maybe due to different reasons, or maybe different due to different design perspective, you don't want to have the GTM as your primary DNS. You don't want it act as the primary DNS service. Okay. So what you can have the GTM, and behind the GTM, there are some primary servers, primary DNS servers. Okay. In this case, again, you can place a GTM. And this time, it is not providing you the intelligence resolution. But this time, it provide what? Something named as accelerated resolution. Accelerated resolution. And again, accelerated resolution is also a way much faster. Let me write down. Accelerated DNS resolution. Now one can ask that if I have already the primary DNS servers, why I would require the GTM, why I would put it under my one more extra hope. So I will explain about them in the designing architecture class, but it's all right for now. I can just explain you that due to the various security reason, okay, DNS security probably I write down, and it provide the more even here the speed is much faster as compared to your primary DNS. There is something named as something comes over here. Maybe you people are aware or no, I don't know. Transfer, zone transfer. So we just used to transfer the zone, and everything, whatever I am telling you, I will teach you those through the labs. It's not only the theory. Your class would be having the labs. So let me show you the lab. Can you see my screen, the lab? So this is a complementary lab that everybody of you will be getting. Okay, very simple to use. Just start it. I hope many of you are aware about these simulators, but if not, it's all right. You just start it, double click, open it, and it's ready to use. Like this is you can say a server. So in our lab, we will be doing a lot of practicals. In earlier practicals, what we will be going to do, we will be making them as a DNS server. Okay. And we will see that how the typical DNS will work. Then probably we can go with the zone transfer. Then maybe it will be acting as the primary like DNS servers, because these are the GTM unit. And from here, it will go to the LTM. And from the LTM, these are the virtual servers. These will act as the backend servers, you can say. We will be gonna use such kind of like terminologies also. Every example probably we will do. Okay, so there is lot of things what we will be gonna do practically, not only theoretically. Secondly, there is a blog also. You can go to the blogs, maybe domain name system. You can see here. There are a lot of other blogs available. You just see and you can just keep in touch with us through this blogging platform. Then if you wanted to go for the maybe syllabus you wanted to check or something, whatever you wanted to check, you just go our website netminion.net. Okay, go to the courses. Under the courses, you can see there is a GTM. You just see there is a demo video, like this video is getting recorded and it will also get uploaded. But yeah, you can check that. You can download the syllabus by clicking over here. Again, if you wanted to see more videos, go to the NetMinion solutions. Okay, just search for NetMinion solutions over the YouTube. Over here, go to the playlist. Under the playlist, probably there are a lot of other technologies, not only F5, okay, Cisco, Polo, AWS, and lot of other names. So you can just check over there all the maybe technologies you can see there. If you are just interested in FIDNS, click on FIDNS. Already there are multiple of the videos available. You can check those videos.